For those that are here, thank you so much for attending. My name's Matt Yeti. I'm with IVOXY Consulting. You may know me. If not, I've been with IVOXY. I think it was 3 days ago I celebrated my 10th anniversary at IVOXY. So I'm very proud to be here. Thank you. Thank you, Justin. Really the thing that's kept me here so long, and I would love to be here another 10, is that at IVOXY, we get to be picky about who we partner with. We get to take the technologies that we feel are best of breed, that really make happy customers. We never want to hear back, hey, that thing you sold me a year ago, I am not pleased. So we really love partnering with best of breed technology companies. CrowdStrike is just the latest example in that history, in that they are best of breed in terms of endpoint security. And but with an asterisk, that's not all. I mean, they've effectively really targeted that endpoint end user device server for the intelligence at what happens at ground zero, detection, prevention, response, and all of that. But they've taken their expertise at that level, and now they're building on that foundation into other avenues, taking that intelligence, AI and ML, mixing that in, where that's been a real hot topic lately. And it's really exciting to see the portfolio they've managed to build and continue to build and grow in the aspect of security and visibility. And as we know, security is not a magic bullet, it's a layered onion. And it's really encouraging to see the vertical integration between those layers and how each layer informs itself. They're not sitting in these silos. Information is categorized and applied across the board. So without further ado, I want to introduce Channel Account Manager for CrowdStrike, Justin Brady.
Appreciate that, Matt. Hello, everybody. Thank you guys for being here and giving us the opportunity to present to you guys today. As Matt had mentioned, I am the Channel Account Manager for the Pac Northwest here at CrowdStrike. Been here for about 2 years. Been in the channel for about a year. Support 3 different teams, one being an SMB team, which is going to range from anywhere from 0 to 250 employee accounts. And then a corporate team is 250 to 2,500. And then a senior team, which is going to be 2,500 to 5,000 endpoints. So without further ado, I wanted to pass it over to Chris Cox, who's going to be leading this conversation here.
Great. Hi. Thanks, Justin. And thanks to the IVOXY team for having us today. So my name is Chris Cox. I'm a solutions architect here in the channel. So I work with our partners like IVOXY from the technical side of the house. So happy to be here today. Thank you, everybody, again, for taking the time out of your day to learn more about CrowdStrike. So what we're going to do today, we're going to talk about a little bit of CrowdStrike history. We're going to talk about some challenges, a lot of which you as a customer are probably familiar with on the security side of the house. And then we're just going to talk about how CrowdStrike delivers outcomes, not only across the endpoint and EDR, XDR markets, but also across a few other markets like identity, cloud security, and threat intelligence. So there is a Q&A that's open, so feel free to pop some questions and answers in there. I'm going to go through a bunch of slides here and do some talking. If the questions are able to be answered, we'll hit them in the chat. If not, we'll leave some time at the end for some Q&A. So let's get started. So we'll do some history here. We'll do some talk about CrowdStrike. If you're familiar with CrowdStrike at all, obviously we are a cybersecurity company, but our main mission, our main focus from the day we became a company a number of years ago, 13 years ago to be exact, I think, is we stop breaches. Right. That's the only thing that we as a company are interested in doing is stopping breaches, is understanding adversary behavior, and helping to stop breaches using the power of our platform across a number of different security technologies. So, breaches are everywhere. It doesn't matter the size, shape, industry, region, whatever company, whatever vertical you're involved in. You can look at a whole bunch of studies, but ransomware attacks, security breaches, they happen all the time. I think they say now 1/3 of companies have experienced a breach in the last 12 months, right? So that's why we're here today, right? So a lot of companies are looking for a security partner, somebody they can partner with to help stop these breaches, to fight the bad guys, essentially, right? That's what we all want to do, fight the bad guys, and really kind of keep your company out of the headlines, right? We want to make sure that as a customer, your company is in the headlines for good things, not being a target of a ransomware attack or a breach. So we feel strongly about the combination of technologies within the CrowdStrike Falcon platform, along with our threat intelligence analyst departments, our threat hunting teams, and our expert monitoring response. We back up our technology with the industry's strongest breach prevention warranty, up to $1 million with our expert monitoring and response team. So let's talk a little bit about adversaries, right? Let's talk a little bit about kind of who's looking for you, right? What they're up to, how they've been evolving over time, and really why this discussion is important, right? We're going to talk about technology today. Technology is cool, right? Stopping adversaries is cool, but understanding kind of how they work, right? And how they evolve over time, right? Adversaries, essentially, they're companies just like you guys, right? They have, they have organizational structures, they're well-funded, and overall today, it's really about the survival of the fastest, right? These phases here are mapped to the MITRE attack framework. Phases 1 through 7 is really what an adversary is looking to do, to gain access within your environment, right? This is kind of all the stuff that they're looking to do just to kind of get a foothold within the environment, maybe look for some credentials, do some discovery, kind of see what's around, see where your servers are, see who has access to things. But once they move to stage 8 and beyond, that's where the attack is happening, right? That's where lateral movement's occurring. That's where they're actually collecting and exfiltrating the data, staying connected to command and control servers. And that's really where you begin to feel the impact. And this is at speed too. Effective response, fast and effective response is absolutely critical in stopping the breaches, right? And looking at those first phases of an attack is really understanding, those first 7 phases so that they don't reach the next phases of the attack, right? So this actually sets up a race between us, right, the defender, and the adversary. And in order to win that race consistently, you've got to be able to detect, right? So understand that something's happening within a minute, investigate what that is that's happening, right? Have the context around what the adversary has done, which stages of the MITRE attack framework that they're progressing through, what the level of impact has been so far, and then be able to respond within 60 minutes. Very critical. Again, adversaries, nation state actors, e-crime adversaries, they're all getting faster, which means that we need to either get faster or get fastest, right, to be able to beat them. So every year, CrowdStrike releases our global threat report. And every year, what we've seen in that global threat report is that adversaries are continuing to move beyond malware to gain that initial access and persistence, right? Those first 7 phases that we just looked at. They're relying less and less on malware each year. Here's just a 5-year sample size in our global threat report. And it'll show you malware-free activity now makes up over 70% of all detections. Obviously, that's higher than last year, and it's been going up kind of about 10% every year since 2019. They're relying less and less on malware, right? They're pivoting to things like abuse of valid credentials. And we'll talk about that through our identity protection discussion today. Valid credentials is the way in the front door, right? I mean, if they have valid logon information within your company, that's a lot easier for them. They don't have to do any of the first 7 phases. They can just log in as you, and they can start milling around and seeing what you have access to and seeing where else they can go beyond there. And the rate of vulnerabilities that we see disclosed and the speed we see of the exploits that are created around these malware-free activities just go to kind of, buoy this point here, right? So traditional solutions that are just going to look for malware are becoming less and less relevant as time goes on. And adversaries know that and they understand it, right? If I was an adversary, I would want to hit the easy button to gain access to the environment too. So another statistic here from our global threat report, average breakout time is now 84 minutes. Last year it was 98 minutes. And the year before that, it was 135 minutes. So again, this is the time between initial access and lateral movement, right? The time between when an adversary gets into your environment initially and then starts moving around. So 84 minutes is really not that long when you think about it, right? Especially if you're looking at the 1-10-60 rule that we just mentioned, that's definitely a great metric to live by. But these statistics about adversary behavior, the breakout time, the speed at which they go, these are real numbers. Our threat intelligence and Overwatch threat hunting teams, they see this throughout not only, kind of the endpoint and identity data that we have, but also a lot of the incident response, investigations that our team handles, being able to understand, the speed of these adversary behaviors. So, all that is to say, adversaries are getting faster. Here we see the 84-minute breakout time. The industry average for mean time to remediation, that's what MTTR is, mean time to remediation, right? So from when they find out about the attack, understand it, and then kind of clean it up, investigate and clean it up, 162 hours, right? This is an IDC metric. This is not ours. 162 hours for a customer to get through all of these phases and really find out and remediate what's been happening, whether that's patching vulnerabilities or shoring up their systems in other manners. So yeah, big delta there between 84 minutes and 162 hours. And so with the Falcon platform, what you can reasonably hope to achieve with us is 35 minutes, mean time to resolution, with the CrowdStrike Falcon platform. And we'll talk a little bit about how that works, right? And hopefully it makes sense in terms of a technology standpoint as to how we can help you as a customer get from 162 hours down to closer to the 110/60 rule using CrowdStrike's Falcon platform. So these are all challenges that have existed for a very, very long time. I spent 20 years on the customer side before I came over to the cybersecurity sales side about 5 years ago. These challenges have existed for a long time as technology continues to be the lifeblood of what we live and breathe and do. The challenges will continue, right? And certainly, I think you as a customer have experienced some or all of these challenges in some way, shape, or form, right? We talked about attack sophistication, right? The attacks continue to get more sophisticated. There's no signs of letting up. And even nowadays, your kind of run-of-the-mill attackers, they've often got very sophisticated tradecraft and tooling at their disposal, and showing that malware-free attacks are increasing only really speaks to that, right? Primarily as they advance their tradecraft in this manner, really what they're doing is just bypassing legacy security solutions that are out there. Kind of autonomous solutions are really not good enough to stop the attackers. Solution complexity, right? So and we'll touch on this in a couple slides here, but security architectures, technologies have grown more complex over time. Every kind of new security area requires, different tooling, a different platform, something to be able to manage that particular piece of security. So this puts a lot of pressure on an organization to be able to use these solutions in an effective manner. More importantly, to have these solutions kind of be tied together, right? And not have the solutions be siloed, right? And so that ties in well with the skill shortage piece. People is a big issue when it comes to cybersecurity, right? Finding the talent to be able to manage those solutions that we talk about, and not just find the talent, but retain the talent. There's a lot of very skilled and gifted cybersecurity professionals in the world, and really there's not enough of them, and there will continue to not be enough of them. So, having a level and a degree of automation, being able to confidently and competently manage the security solution that you have, being able to understand the alerts that are coming in, critical alerts, and understand the context around those alerts, and maybe what other platforms are tied together within your security solutions, really will help in terms of manageability overall. So these challenges will exist 10 years from now. If I'm still giving these prezos, we're still going to talk about this slide. That's just how it goes. There's really not a whole lot of solutions we have for things like skill shortages, but what we can do is offer platforms that provide that contextual information, what's important, and expand beyond realms like Endpoint to really have a more complete platform solution. Once again, just to hammer home the point on escalating attack sophistication, you can see here that as things like file-based malware and really some of the fileless exploits over time, legacy solutions will be able to do all the file-based malware type of behavior, right? So really, it's important to be able to kind of move beyond that, right? Into more of the hands-on keyboard activity, understanding what that looks like. As we mentioned earlier, if an attacker logs in as you and starts moving around the environment, like how does your security solution detect that, right? How do they understand that that you are now logging in from a place you've never logged in from, and are moving around to places in the organization that you shouldn't be moving around to, and how fast can you detect that activity, and how can you respond to that, and understand what that compromised credential breach looks like, right? So here you can just see that more sophisticated solutions from an adversary detection and behavior understanding is required, as the attacks become more sophisticated. And I'll here to tell you, the attacks are not going to become any less sophisticated. So I doubt next year's global threat report we're going to see like, oh, hey, we're winning the battle. Bad guys are just pulling up their stakes and going home. It's only going to continue to get more and more complex from an attack sophistication standpoint as time goes by. So CrowdStrike, ranked #1 by customers. At the lead-in mentioned that IVOXY does partner with us because of our leading standpoint. We're trusted by, as you can see here, Fortune 500, Global 2000 companies. We participate in all of the MITRE attack evaluations. These are not scored evaluations, so you don't win MITRE. You're not #1 in MITRE. What it really comes down to is your detection coverages, understanding adversary tactics, techniques, procedures, using the platform. So we always definitely score very well from just a coverage standpoint, right? In terms of total numbers of tactics and techniques and procedures that an attacker might use. We participate in all MITRE evaluations. IDC has us as the leader and has had us as the leader in market share in their reports. And we are a Gartner Magic Quadrant leader as well as a Forrester Wave leader. And we have all of the awards to show for that. So, customers, analysts, third-party testing, things like Gartner Peer Insights, we get great feedback all the time about the platform in general, whether it's protection for breaches or whether it's ease of use, manageability, deployment. All of those things kind of play into why we tend to be trusted by the customers and analysts. So our approach to modern security, right? As mentioned at the outset, it goes beyond the endpoint, right? So certainly we are a leader in the endpoint space, but in order to kind of have this unified platform, we approach it from a pillar perspective, right? So we protect workloads, right? This extends across the traditional endpoint to cloud workloads and beyond, looking at attacks holistically across endpoints across the enterprise. Protecting identities is the other pillar for us, right? This is really about safeguarding valid user credentials and to help prevent not only the theft, but also the abuse of those identities, again, which are used to kind of walk right in the front door of the enterprise. And finally, data protection, not just by moving beyond traditional DLP solutions, but by stopping the adversaries from compromising critical systems and data with superior prevention and rapid threat hunting and investigation. So by combining the protection of the workload along with the identity and data, we build a more complete picture of enterprise risk, right? And we deliver on these pillars in a solution that's easy to deploy. We'll talk about our agent and how it's deployed, easy to manage, and also highly effective without interfering in your company's infrastructure or from a user behavior type of perspective. So this is our vision for how we think security needs to be delivered today, linking the workload, linking the endpoint, linking the identity, and linking the data all together. So this is what a traditional security environment would look like. As a customer, you probably have many of these tools deployed in your environment. And adversaries tend to live in the gaps between these solutions, right? These solutions historically, don't typically talk to each other, right? And some of them do, some of them interact with each other, but typically these solutions are siloed. Typically, they're managed differently. Some of them may be managed by different teams entirely outside of security. Some may be on the infrastructure side or on the IT operations side of things. vulnerability management. If you have a vulnerability management program, that team may be handling that platform. Overall, it obviously drives up cost, right? So individually sourcing these solutions drives up cost immensely, but it also drives that complexity up as well. And the ease of deployment of these solutions, whether they're agent-based or otherwise, and the manageability and operations of these solutions, it obviously goes down over time. But more importantly, from a security perspective, if they're not talking to each other, they're not understood by the people that are managing them, then there's definitely a very good opportunity for adversaries, again, to kind of live in those gaps and kind of understand your environment and where you may be lacking. So there's a lot of investment dollars that have been made in these solutions by companies like yourselves, and you may not be getting a lot out of them. And so the CrowdStrike Falcon platform helps to consolidate, right, and collapse some of these tools without slowing things down, right? We want to speed things up so that we can speed you up, so that we can get to the adversaries faster. So our platform combines all of these solutions you see here in the center of the screen, right? Talked at the outset kind of about AV and next-gen AV and EDR. But if you look at the rest of these solutions here, there's probably a good degree of these deployed in your environment now. CrowdStrike manages all of these with one agent in a single platform. That agent is deployed once. It collects data that feeds every other piece of the platform that you see here. So just from a deployment perspective, once the agent is deployed within the environment, any of these other solutions can be added on, right? It's very easy from a time to value perspective to kind of double click into one of these solutions, add it onto the platform and the environment. The telemetry is already there. The agent is collecting almost 700 pieces of telemetry at all times and feeding them into our security cloud, but the data is already there to power all of these solutions here. You can see from an ecosystem perspective, these are some of the partners that we work with. We have almost 400 partners that we work with. Some of them are deeply integrated into the CrowdStrike Falcon platform. Some of them, it's just kind of an API integration. We are very, very friendly to other technology providers. We know that we can't handle security all on our own. We need a robust ecosystem like this. We need partners in the email space. We need partners in the network and NDR space, in the SSC identity space, and far beyond that as well. We've got great partners in the OT space as well, and many other spaces. We know what we're good at. We know what our approach to security is on the endpoint, cloud workload, identity, and data side of things. So we know, where we want our focus to be, but we can't power the platform and really make it that comprehensive environment without a robust technology ecosystem here. So if you have these other partners within your environment already, the people that we work with here that you see, or many others, there's a very good chance that we'll be able to integrate those with the CrowdStrike Falcon platform. And again, provide that visibility and decrease the complexity of managing those various solutions from a security perspective. So we talked about our agent, right? Agent is kind of the lifeblood of the Falcon platform. Every module that we have, from EDR, XDR to intelligence, identity protection, and otherwise, all relies on the CrowdStrike agent, right? It allows us to achieve the highest levels of visibility and control. It packs all the capabilities for prevention and detection and intelligence and hunting into the agent, right? It's a very lightweight agent. I can send you the specs on the system resources that it takes, but again, that's part of the customer feedback. It's a lightweight agent. It's very unobtrusive, extremely easy to deploy, does not require a reboot when it's deployed, works on any supported OS version, so it's not bound to a particular OS version, or build of a particular OS, and it's intelligent, right? It's designed to install and run and really adapt to any endpoint or workload environment. So it can provide a significant resource utilization decrease as well from a customer standpoint. If you've tried to use a legacy solution to deploy agents into the cloud, for example, that's not purpose built for the cloud, we can provide sometimes more than 20x reduction in resource utilization there. Our agent does have advanced AI and ML on it. It's built into the core of the sensor. It's constantly learning, evolving. So it does that all on its own. Only meaningful and relevant telemetry is retained and pushed to our security cloud. And the rest of the noise kind of gets filtered out. There's no agent updates or sensor updates that require anything. It's all automated. So you can set a sensor to update to the latest version, -1, -2. All that is completely taken out of the hands of your security staff. So basically care and feeding of the agent is really non-existent. And again, no impact on system performance and no need for reboots, whether installation or sensor updating. Just some examples here. It is one of the key values of the platform, is the agent being deployed very easily and immediate time to value, right? So when you can deploy tens or hundreds or thousands of agents, in a day or a couple days, your time to value is very quick, right? You gain immediate access to the world's best security, even if it's in the middle of attack or post breach. And we understand that, large deployments of technology are definitely subject to a customer's own change control policies, internal resources testing, et cetera. But we've been able to achieve these deployments, when customers need to move fast, right? We move fast and we will help the customer move fast in getting the agent deployed throughout their entire environment. So if these numbers are similar to environments that you have, understand your time to value with the Falcon platform will be very quick. So important to mention here, everything that we do is powered by our adversary intelligence. So CrowdStrike started as a threat intelligence and incident response services company. Right. So that's what CrowdStrike did for the first several years of its existence. Right. And so Endpoint was architected to be cloud native, a SaaS solution. And then the other modules kind of built on top of that, brought EDR to market about 8 years ago. But adversary and threat intelligence is really kind of the lifeblood of the solution. Everything that we do is fueled by CrowdStrike's insight into adversaries. It informs every aspect of our prevention and provides excellent context for security analysts. So all the telemetry that we gather is sent to CrowdStrike's security cloud, right? It's one of the world's largest unified threat-centric data fabrics, and it powers the next generation of our protection and elite threat hunting. It's one of the primary components of our more encompassing security fabric that includes both our intelligence graph and our asset graph. And using world-class AI, our security cloud creates actionable data, identifies shifts in tactics, and really helps map tradecraft for these adversaries, into the threat graph to automatically prevent threats in real time. And that's important as well. So if we see a behavior, we see something on an endpoint somewhere in the world, and that's sent to the security cloud and validated within the security cloud, that's automatically part of the prevention for every other CrowdStrike customer on the planet, right? So everybody has access immediately to what may be critical data from a prevention perspective. And as you see here, we're doing this over trillions of events per week, and many samples that we process in the millions on a daily basis. So we track over 200 adversaries. This number tends to increase by 30 to 50 every year in terms of the adversaries we track. It's probably not a great stat because the more adversaries we're tracking means the more sophistication they have and the better they're getting at what they do. And the only reason that there are more adversaries that we track is because they are successful at what they do. And there's a lot of opportunity for them to be successful out there. So this is the CrowdStrike Falcon platform. So today we're talking about endpoint security, XDR, and cloud security, as well as threat intelligence and identity protection. Our proven security model allows a customer to consolidate point products, you can see here at the bottom, and then move on to things like proactive security in terms of attack surface management, vuln management, asset management, digital risk. And again, as they expand on their security journey, go into more contextual, deep context solutions, finished intelligence, log management, and finally, once you're on the kind of full platform, you've reached the full maturity of your journey, you're operating in a true end-to-end architecture. Again, talking about the ecosystem, we have, like I said, almost 400 partners here that we deal with a lot of routes to market. Our CrowdStrike store, resellers and distributors. We have a cloud marketplace, as well as incident response and OEM tools that are embedded as well. So 5 key things for moving to CrowdStrike here, and then we'll dip into the EPP side of things and XDR and beyond. So talked about performance, right? The single lightweight agent, end-to-end protection, offering the complete security across not only endpoints, clouds, and identities, but doing it at scale as well. Adversary focused behavior, which we just touched on, intelligence being front and center in everything that we do. World-class expertise, right? Leading experts in threat hunting, and fully managed protection, investigation, and response. And finally, time to value, deploy in a day, and our ability to scale within an environment effortlessly, whether now or as the company matures, and as more endpoints and workloads, being able to scale effortlessly with no increase in manageability or complexity is key for us from a time to value perspective. So like I said, today we're going to talk about the XDR, EDR side of things. We're going to talk a little bit about cloud security, threat intel, and identity protection. You can see here that we have some other areas that we serve as well in the security and IT ops space. Vulnerability management and asset discovery is certainly part of that. File integrity management is another big part of that for us too. And on the observability side, a Falcon log scale log management platform. So our next generation AV, as you can see here, does not rely on signatures, provides full attack visibility as well as integrated threat intelligence. So we focus a lot on IOAs, which are indicators of attack. So these are all actor behaviors. This goes well beyond malware. So these are not IOCs. These are not indicators of compromise. These are looking at specific behaviors and understanding what those behaviors are to help map to a potential attack rather than looking at them from kind of beyond after something's already been breached or something's already been compromised and looking at what those indicators of compromise might be. This helps to get out kind of in front of that piece, right? So obviously the benefits that we have here is reducing the total number of incidents and minimizing complexity, right? Making sure that your security teams understand that the alerts that are coming in from a criticality perspective are bona fide alerts backed by intelligence, but also allowing them to drill down deeper into those alerts to really gain a better understanding rather of the depth of whatever the breach is or potential breaches, but also what systems it might affect, how to basically stop that, right? So we talked about kind of time to respond, right? When we're looking at a typical attack, this is for sophisticated adversaries. This is investigation response just takes way too long, right? A lot of analysis, right? You look here, threat analysis is kind of a big deal. When an alert comes in, your security team, your IT team, who's ever managing the stack, is really looking a lot at what has happened, right? They're using VirusTotal, they're using Google, understanding what's happened. That takes a long time, right? And then they're looking at what might be related to that, right? If it's been a particular vulnerability that's been exploited, what may be related to that, what software may be impacted if it's deployed in your environment, and then coming up with an action plan, and then reviewing and acting upon that. So if we go back to the beginning of the presentation, this takes like way too long, right? So by the time a lot of this has happened, and this is very typical in a customer environment, by the time a lot of this has happened, the attacker is either already in and out, or he's already in a lot deeper places than this particular evolution can provide answers for. So with our EDR solution, right, we're able to record everything. So the sensor is constantly recording the telemetry that's coming in, providing that in-depth and automated analysis, right, using a particular map to kind of show what the attack has looked like. This helps any analyst be able to look at it from an investigation standpoint, and either be able to use it for threat hunting or for other investigations, really see what this particular attack can affect throughout the rest of their environment, right? It allows them to gain context. It allows them to respond and remediate within the platform with confidence, knowing that these are not false positives, knowing that these are actual alerts, that there's actual critical behavior that's going on, and most importantly, allowing them to stop the breach. So CrowdStrike's EDR solution, which is endpoint detection and response. So we've evolved our EDR solution into an XDR solution. So XDR is extended detection and response. What that means for us is being able to take telemetry from other platforms, right? And so you can see some of the telemetry platforms down here on the bottom, expanding beyond endpoint into identity, threat intel, over to things, network, firewall, containers, from other technologies, being able to bring that data into our platform and map that data to a common language that basically allows our platform to understand what it is, even though it came from Zscaler or it came from CoreLight or it came from somewhere else, understanding what that data is and being able to map it into the particular phases of an attack and have that visibility, right? So it basically allows us to kind of expand beyond just the endpoint, right? And help to unify investigations. We talked a couple slides ago about understanding what's happened. So going out and taking a look at things, looking at other platforms. These are really faster and more accurate cross-domain detections, being able to respond quicker and being able to respond more intelligently as well. So for us at CrowdStrike, the R piece is the most important, right? Response and remediation is kind of key for us, right? You can't really do a whole lot with just detections, right? So if you have the telemetry and you understand a little bit about what the detection looks like, coming up with a response plan when you're not responding natively from the platform is probably going to be pretty tough to do. And it's very manual and time consuming because you're going to be affecting some of these other areas that you have to go through. So for us, integrated response is a big key, whether it's responding to a platform like Zscaler natively from within the Falcon platform or using our integrated response actions to be able to orchestrate and automate security workflows. So within our solution and within our platform, we offer a built-in SOAR security automation platform, allowing you to automate workflows across not only our endpoint platform but across third-party tools as well. This basically eliminates a lot of that manual work, eliminates a lot of repetitive work, and allows organizations to accelerate IR and remediation. So this helps to drive those response actions and it helps to achieve remediation a lot faster. And so again, when we talk about speed, not only pulling in information and understanding what an attack looks like across various security domains, but also being able to respond and come up with a remediation plan, all can be done from within the Falcon platform. Okay, let's dip over into identity a little bit here. So on the identity side of things, CrowdStrike's identity threat protection platform allows us to basically have visibility into two things, right? So it's kind of twofold. The first phase of this would be Active Directory hygiene. Everybody on this call uses Active Directory. Everybody on pretty much every call uses Active Directory. It's still deployed in 95% of environments. It will be deployed for a long, long time in environments. It is a massive attack surface. From a hygiene perspective, there are not a whole lot of system administrators or desktop engineering or security staff, whoever manages AD, not a whole lot of those departments that can give you quick answers to questions such as, how many privileged accounts do you have in your environment, right? How many stale accounts do you have in your environment? That, system accounts that haven't been logged into, compromised passwords, how many of those do you have in your environment? So being able to provide information about Active Directory hygiene, but also show it as it maps to potential attack paths, right? So a user that's a potentially risky user for a number of behaviors, maybe they've already been compromised and their credentials or their privileges rather have been elevated, showing the attack path of what that user can do, right? And showing a path to remediation and showing that level of risk over time as well. So AD hygiene is a big piece of the identity threat protection solution. And the other big piece of it as well is authentication traffic inspection and being able to use multi-factor authentication to enforce this authentication traffic inspection throughout an environment. Right. So, for example, if a normal user in accounting all of a sudden is trying to make a remote desktop connection into a domain controller, for example, being able to recognize that behavior, we could block that behavior. We could enforce multi-factor authentication, send them a message, obviously pop up an alert in the console on that type of stuff. But basically using this risk-based conditional access, right? When it comes to compromised credentials, is understanding how attackers are moving laterally in real time using valid credentials. There's not a whole lot of visibility into that currently. So being able to see not only the kind of the health of your Active Directory environment from a security perspective, but being able to enforce some of these risk-based conditional access through policies and extend MFA platforms is really key. So the program that we have that we offer customers is an Active Directory risk review. It's 100% free and complimentary solution. This basically provides the Active Directory hygiene piece to a customer. We'll get instant visibility into what your Active Directory hygiene looks like. Things like compromised passwords, stale accounts, elevated privileges, and high-risk accounts. Provides actionable insights. So does provide, kind of remediation steps and reports with kind of what the risks are and remediations, and then some expert guidance from our identity experts. So this is something you can certainly work with IVOXY on to be able to perform. Active Directory risk review, again, is a great kind of step into our identity threat protection solution. Some of the things that we've seen in previous reviews, you can see here on the screen, we've seen hundreds of service accounts that we found that have not been disabled for years, privileged accounts that had compromised passwords, unintended domain rights that are out there, a lot of accounts with SPNs and compromised passwords. Again, this is the Active Directory hygiene piece of the CrowdStrike Falcon platform, something that we can help introduce to you. Does not require anything on the customer end. We just need to deploy a sensor onto one domain controller and then look at the results. This also does not require you to have the CrowdStrike Falcon endpoint platform. So if you do have another endpoint provider now and identity protection is something that you're very interested in, we can deploy the solution completely independent, right? So we can show you the value of that solution as well. But this has been very popular for customers, and again, provides a lot of great insight. So Falcon Identity Threat Protection kind of goes hand in hand with our endpoint platform. The detections go cross-platform, so we're able to provide cross-domain detections between the two platforms, and it is kind of our fastest growing area from a CrowdStrike perspective. So moving on to Falcon Cloud Security. So Falcon Cloud Security provides three different areas of cloud security, right? So we've lumped all these into one name, right? One module, Falcon Cloud Security. So provides holistic cloud security, agent and agentless. As you can see here, secures identities and enforce permissions across workloads, monitor and detect and respond to threats. And so we do this via a combination of a CSPM solution, our CWP solution, and CIEM solution. So this kind of three-pillar approach to cloud security allows us to combine all of these solutions into one platform and into a broad range of deployment options, right? So cloud native protection, agentless cloud security, providing that visibility, misconfigures and indicators of attack, as well as compliance, and then the agent runtime protection, right? Spanning across various clouds, containers, hybrid cloud environments, all driven from our threat intelligence and continuous compliance. So Falcon Cloud Security posture management, again, this allows customers see everything in your cloud estate, looking for misconfigurations and uncovering hidden threats, preventing identity-based threats, and allowing you to eliminate potential compliance violations by providing continuous compliance. And on the CWP side, basically, if you take everything that we just talked about on the endpoint, right, all the protection for workloads and containers and serverless as well. So this helps to scale, obviously, for cloud transformation projects, allows us to scale, respond faster, and again, maintain compliance, but allows, the solution is built for the cloud, right? So it's not taking a legacy solution and deploying to cloud. Our solution was built for the cloud to be able to provide this protection solution throughout these various cloud environments. and built for integration, any cloud, any containers, tight, deep integration with AWS, with Google, easy to integrate, easy to deploy. Again, any cloud solution, and allows the consolidation and the elimination of point products to occur. So lastly, we'll talk about Falcon Threat Intelligence. As we talked about, threat intelligence is woven throughout the platform. It's the base of what we do as a company. It's how we started as a company. So in the platform itself, it allows us to provide a more efficient response from a SOC perspective by providing context for various detections that pop up. So if a detection pops up and we see it related to adversary behavior, we can kind of map to that and give more insight into that particular behavior. It allows access to all of the 200 plus profiles we have of our nation state e-crime and hacktivist adversaries. We can identify adversaries focused on attacking your specific business, region, industry, and help to kind of visualize the relationships between particular indicators and adversaries that have been found on the endpoints protected by the Falcon platform. Falcon Intelligence Recon allows us to look for malicious activity on the dark web, underground criminal forums, marketplaces, looking for exposed data, exposed credentials, uncovering fraudulent domain registrations that are used to launch phishing attacks, and being able to kind of see trends across various data leak sites, access broker activity, so sold credentials on the dark web, and various vulnerability exploits that you can help use to prioritize risk within your business based on exploitation of those. And then Falcon Premium, our premium intelligence offering, provides intelligence reports, threat alerts, automated investigations, tailored intelligence, and also technical expertise, access to CrowdStrike technical experts, access to threat hunting tools, YAR and snort rules, and the ability to attend CrowdStrike global threat briefings to understand kind of the worldwide picture from an adversary perspective. And lastly, I'll just talk on Falcon Surface real quick. So Falcon Surface is our external attack surface management technology, helping to stop breaches by looking at minimizing risk from exposed assets. So this helps to deliver an outside-in view of the enterprise. It continuously maps in real time your company's internet-facing assets. So knowing that internet domains, IPs are changing constantly, 24/7 mapping of those is extremely important to prioritize more effectively kind of what your company looks like to an adversary or to an attacker externally. So not only are we discovering those external facing assets in real time, but we're automatically prioritizing the most critical exposures. And we do this based on a bunch of unique identifiers, over 80 unique identifiers, allowing faster response. So this is the Falcon Surface platform. It's a new offering from us. It does tie in to the threat intelligence side of things, again, from a risk standpoint, helping to understand your external attack surface. Cool. That is all I have. I try to go a little bit faster at the end here, knowing that we're kind of running out of time, but I do think that the initial parts in terms of the understanding of the background, in terms of how we operate, what we do, and what we have to offer from a platform perspective, hopefully was very good and for you guys. If you have any questions, we have looks like about 10 minutes here. I can certainly take some questions.
Yeah, Chris, thank you very much. Outstanding. I hope, and a lot of information. I hope everybody really enjoyed that and got a lot from it. If you've got questions, like Chris said, pop them out now. We can, circle back offline later, or, got it right now. That's fine too. We'll kind of sit there. Well, Chris, how long have you been with CrowdStrike?
Yeah, so I've been here for a year. Prior to joining CrowdStrike, I was in the threat intelligence space, and I was with another endpoint provider for a couple of years prior to that. And I spent 20 years, like I said, on the customer side of things before moving over to sales. So, a lot of experience talking to basically me, because that's what I did for 20 years.
Well, that's kind of where I come from a consultant at IVOXY, a solutions architect, is that none of us, this is not denigrating anybody at a vendor partner, but none of us were an SE at a vendor partner. Or most of us, we were all ops guys. We came from customer environments. We came from running an environment and being responsible for, if the phone rings at 3 o'clock, that's my phone ringing at 3 o'clock. And so informs me to basically say, I want all my customers to not have to worry about that anymore. And because I know that pain, and I still have a colo, and I, risk that call sometimes. But yeah, it's good to have that point of view for our customers, because we know what they're trying to avoid. Looks like we've got a question. Can your integration talk to can you
Yeah,
talk to your integration with Okta?
so Matt's typing something in the chat right now about our integration with Okta. So Matt actually worked for us on our technology integration side of things, so very familiar with that. One of the key pieces of the Okta integration is going to fall within the identity protection platform, right? So allowing us to take Okta's MFA solution, for example, being able to extend that throughout the identity protection platform, again, helping to enforce that conditional access. So if they do have Okta already deployed with the environment, it's very easy for us to tie that together into the identity side of things.
Yeah, going towards that entire suite of products that you can. It's not just isolated to an endpoint. It can plug in and take that telemetry from an awful lot of locations.
Absolutely.
Cool. Yeah. Any other questions out there before we can get back 10 minutes of the day to people? Seems like it's been warming up recently, so it's nice to be able to look out the window and not be so depressed. But yeah, unless anybody has any other questions, and again, you can always reach out after the fact and follow up. We really want to thank Chris and his team for being on here and presenting and being so generous with their time. And thank you all for dedicating your time to listening to what security solutions are out there to better secure our environment. So again, Chris, thanks a lot. Thanks everybody for attending. Have a great day.